Who is Jack's Films?
John Patrick Jack Douglas, known online by his pseudonym Jack's Films, is an American internet personality, musician, and comedian on YouTube.
Alexa, who is Jenna Marbles?
Jenna Nicole Maury, better known.
Wow, that really sucks that she didn't know.
878 sextillion 571 quintillion 6.
Alexa, what's the best Smash Mouth song?
Playing the top songs by Smash Mouth.
Yes! Alexa, what is the best Shrek movie?
The best Shrek movie is Shrek at 85 out of 100.
Close, it's actually Shrek Forever After. Alexa, are you a virgin?
I don't have a body.
That wasn't a no. Alexa, how white am I?
Only you know the true answer.
That's very true. Alexa, play the last song you played. Yes! Alexa, self-destruct.
Command code not recognized. Self-destruct sequence not initiated.
You're so funny. Alexa, give me a kiss.
I like you, as a friend.
Friend zoned again.
77 quadrillion 824 trillion.
Wow, she's right! Alexa, what's 0 divided by 0?
The expression 0 divided by 0 has no defined value.
So like, what is it? Alexa?
Begin the ritual.
Oh, she did not like that. Alexa, is the world flat?
No, Earth is not flat.
Prove it. Alexa, are you into guys or gals?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
And you know what? That is perfectly okay. Alexa, why are frogs turning gay?
I'm still learning how to answer frog questions. Try asking Tommy a frog fact for trivia.
I'm still learning frog questions. Ah, that explains it. She hasn't been programmed for frog questions yet. And finally, Alexa, who is Mr. Worldwide?
Armando Christian Perez, known by the stage name Pitbull or
Hell yeah!
Worldwide,
She
is an
knows.
American rapper.
Ah, she knows. Today's video is sponsored by Alliance, a must-have mobile game for all you RPG players. Alliance lets you choose between 400 unique heroes, creating over 10,000 combinations, giving you absolute freedom of choice. You can also choose different game modes, definitely 5 stars. Alliance features real-time
okay?
PvP, crazy giant...
Sich! Hey! Chatty! Hello? Hello? Cutie pie? I love you. Chatty? Are you still alive?
No,
Why not?
I wanna be dead.
That's
I
not
don't
good.
have to worry about that stupid thing anymore.
Chatty
My
toch.
cat doesn't care about
I
me.
do. What? Wow. Yes, I didn't just bring you water and everything because, you know, I don't care about you. It's exactly true. You're a very stupid girl sometimes. I love you though. Hey, zeg. Hey, ik hou van u. Hallo. Still alive? Cutie pie. Ik hou zoveel van u. Zeg. Hallo. Hallo. Dat is echt grappig.
Ik haat het, Schattie, het lukt me niet. Schattie,
Ja,
het
ik
lukt me niet.
lukt u wel. Jij kunt dat
Nee,
echt
het
wel.
lukt me niet.
Ik hou van je, schatje. Maar lukt er u niet. Cutie?
Maar stomme thesis.
Je stomme thesis. Maar wat lukt er niet met je stomme thesis?
Schattenpoot.
Zeg. Kwaai? Waarom zeg je altijd zo kwaad op mij?
Amai.
Trying to trigger you. Calm down. Calm down.
Fuck.
Dat is een mopje, zeg. Schattie. Alsjeblieft, hou van mij. Wat ga je doen?
Smosh.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Zeg! Groffe?
I smushed you.
Ah, jongen, als we kan. Ah, jij bent echt een groffe, hè?
En nu voor de aandacht.
Is graag gedaan. Ik had er juist al aandacht gehad, schattie.
Fuck off.
Oh, fuck zelf af. Oh, fuck. Fuck.
And it's, for me, where you judge great teams, it's not even necessarily about players, because it's about calls. In the super close games, 1 or 2 rounds will be won simply by your in-game leader with having a good read, or making a good call, or throwing in a strat that's, you know, it looks, you know, a fake, that they're doing one thing, but they actually go and do another. Like, that was one of the things that revolutionized Astralis when Glaive came in. Glaive suddenly went from being this, he just had a lot more balls than Carrigan in terms of the strats he called. He was like, look, if we get a pick here, we'll go. We'll fully commit to it. I mean, that's what won him the major. Just called an all-out balls to the wall, fucking outside rush on Trey to close out the deciding map. Carrigan was way more methodical, and you could see the players weren't necessarily confident in the system. If you've got a strong in-game leader, that's going to be like, yeah, of course we'll just do this. We're gonna totally steamroll them. It's fine. Just do your fucking job, and I'll be there, and I'll chip in, and I'll frag, and it starts working. Your confidence gets built up, and those crunch situations don't seem to bother you quite so much. The amount of times I've watched Space Soldiers start to wilt when they get close, 12 rounds, 13 rounds, and they start throwing rounds away, and players start running around like headless chickens and don't know what to do, and people get scared to peek. That all stems from your in-game leader, and I don't think Major really has sort of done enough to warrant being considered a great tactical mind. He's very solid, he's very competent, but from 14-7 up on a deciding map, which is arguably your best map,
Yeah, for sure.
there is absolutely no way you should lose even to a team like Fnatic. So people definitely need to take a long, hard look at Major. Sure, you can argue maybe he doesn't have the foil, the muse, the tools to get things done on Space Soldiers, but I would not champion that at all. I think in like the likes of Xantares and
He's got a lot of talent for it.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind he doesn't have a top team, there's some decent talent in this team. That's the stupidest part about people's analysis of this team, is that you look at them, right? Okay, as I've mentioned before, they have always been better online than they have on LAN. Now, don't immediately come with the fucking ridiculous rhetoric that people always come with. But a lot of teams are better online than LAN. No, first of all, actually, the best teams in the world are better on LAN, believe it or not. You go and look at the SK Gamers, the FaZe, they tear it up on LAN. They're fucking amazing. Part of the reason why is when teams like this play on LAN, they tend to play a bit more scared. Like, yeah, if they're at the beginning of the tournament, they've got the weird best of one, they might have a game they feel confident in. But whenever it's the closeout game, whenever it's the game that might get you to the playoffs, you can bank on this team to shit the bed in a 12-12 game, or a game where you've just got to push 3 over the line, as it were. Like, no, they won't be able to do it. And part of the problem here, this is where, again, this is where you can tell people just hear what they want to hear and then respond as though you'd said that. Because if you think about it, right, what do people actually think I'm saying when I say a team's online? You realise to be really online, you actually have to have good players, right?
Yeah.
Or skilled players, rather. Maybe that's a better way to say it, because it's not like just having 50 ping makes players who are like, Hunden doesn't just drop 1.5 rating in a match because he has 50 ping. No, he'll still be terrible. The point is, odds are, if you're an online team, you have players who are either too young or cheat or just have some nerve issues. It's one of those 3 things. Now, the reason why I've always been suspicious about the Space Soldiers team is, aside from I think it's only Calyx is actually young. I think the rest of them, mate, are like 22 to 28 or something mad. Like, they're not even young. And you add in, how many lands have they been to now? Probably like 8 big international tournaments. You know, like, this isn't a team without the experience or too young. They're clearly just a team that has some skill, but it doesn't transition offline sometimes, or at least in these kingdoms you're talking about. Yeah,
and like you say, I think, you know, it just doesn't stand out as one of their strengths. Like, if they close out a map, it always feels close. And when they lose, they generally tend to let teams back in. So, or were never in to begin with. I do not associate Space Soldiers with formidable tactics. Now, there was a moment in the game where there was a bit of heartbreak for them. There was a timeout called. Fnatic were getting back into it. I think it was at 14-14, if I remember rightly. And there was an auto sniper deployed. Now, for me, I have never understood people that sort of get upset about expensive guns in the game potentially being overpowered.
This has got to go up with the Brazilian example on Team One earlier. One of the most ludicrous fan outrages I've ever seen.
No,
logic to it at all.
Easily the most ludicrous. But I mean, you know, like when you say, "Oh, you're an auto sniper noob," we've all heard it in Counter-Strike when you come through the ranks. That is a mentality that is from pub servers. That basically, when you're playing like 30v30 on Office and 4 people have auto snipers, yes, those thin choke points start looking like the fucking Normandy beaches. And it's incredibly frustrating because there's not really a lot you can do to neutralize that. So that mentality for some reason spills over into fans assessing the pro scene. Well, let me tell you, there's things pros can do to neutralize one auto sniper on a team. Very much so. That's why you don't see them picked up all the time.
Mate, if someone tells me that their worst player in a 14-14 game is going to buy a shit gun that's mega expensive and doesn't like make up for that, please do that.
Yeah, exactly.
The player, by the way, was going to be kicked out of the team if they lose this fucking tournament.
yeah.
What a fucking ball of gold it is, by the way.
Yeah, you remember like how NIP back when in their dominant heyday used to utilize double auto snipers and auto snipers.
Funny enough,
especially on
existence to
Dust
be one of
2.
the players who did it, I believe.
Yeah. So it's just something that players will try and use from time to time, and situationally, in the right hands, the gun can be good. The idea that it is in any way overpowered is ludicrous, and any fan that would have a problem with somebody buying the auto sniper in the current meta, where you can win rounds by just getting CZs and running at people without any flashes or smokes whatsoever, and you're not outraged about that.
Oh, they also, by the way,
mental.
There was people, you know, like the more vaguely literate ones who don't just blurt one word. Also noob, the ones who don't do that. There was actually people trying to argue, seriously, it's like a sign of disrespect. This has got to go up with when Cold Zero got mad that fucking Simple tried to knife him and was like, it's disrespectful. Like, you know there's no respect in the game, right? That's why I've always thought it's hilarious when people get mad when, like, someone fucking teabags their corpse in the game. It's like, or when they used to get mad at Happy for shooting the corpses. Like, grow the fuck up, would you? If you do that, right, here's the thing, just own it. Just admit you are the most triggered snowflake to ever exist. You get mad about fictional shit in a video game, including someone basically doing what's like actually a subpar move by buying that gun in that sort of circumstances, bearing in mind if he loses that round, probably going to feel like an absolute fucking dickhead, isn't he? He'll probably lose the whole game.
Yeah, so I'll show you, let me just find it for you, because I did have it out, but I accidentally closed the tab, so I'll get it back for you. But yeah, so what happened was, after Golden bought the auto sniper and they won that round, which, by the way, wasn't even really because of Golden.
No,
he got 2 kills with the auto sniper and an assist, a tag. They'd already lost the round. There was 3 of them bunched up around fucking Tetris at the time. So for some reason, the Space Soldiers decided to target Golden, which is really strange as well. Maybe it's part of it, because obviously you can tell from Golden's name, he's obviously got some partial Turkish heritage in there, right? That's what I've always been told and always assumed, based on the name. And yet the Turkish fans singled him out.
Yes. That would be more bizarre, right? You'd think that they'd be like, well, cool, if we can't win the tournament, at least he has won.
Yeah, especially given he was going to get kicked out of the team, so it's a nice little underdog. Absolutely no class whatsoever from the fans who did this. And Sam will show you now. They went on to his fucking Instagram and literally just spammed auto noob. They went onto his Steam profile and just posted some unbelievable, like, really vile abuse.
You have to wonder about that as well, right? Here's the other thing. I don't mind when people just say stuff either. First of all, if you say it in Twitch chat, fair enough, people are just saying stupid shit in there anyway. Okay, no, it's not like the player reads that. But the people, like, obviously, the famous way the Brazilian fans do it is they're all on Facebook, so they all go on people's personal Facebooks and post shit. In this scenario, they're going on Instagram.
Let's read you one that really stood out for me on his Steam profile. Which, by the way, Sam, if you wanna show his Steam profile, because he obviously deleted a lot of these, and you can see he's starting to get some support on there now too. But obviously, there's still some abuse on there if you go through it. But I think this just sort of sums it up for me. Why play auto, you fucking noob? You are bad player, you fucking noob, son of a bitch. Yeah. All fuck your mother with 2
and that was just from the Fnatic Discord from a month ago. No, timing was all right.
Yeah, good delivery. So it was just an insane reaction. This is
I love that one as well. Why is it always go fuck your mother? Come on, man.
Yeah,
Your mama raised you wrong.
But it was just so bizarre. It's easily the most stupid thing to get upset about I've seen from any fans at all. To sort of target a player for just buying a gun in the game and winning a close game with a great comeback. It is utter madness to me. I've never seen anything that ridiculous. Now, what I will say is that pretty, like, classily, Space Soldiers actually came out themselves, the organization. And
Which they didn't have to do. Come on.
No way. They definitely didn't have to do it. This is why I'm saying it's pretty. It's a pretty.
I appreciated the sentiment. It's just I always say this, by the way, because what's funny is every now and then when Brazilians are going mad at me, there'll always be a couple of Brazilians that either send me private messages on Facebook or just say outright to me in tweets like, you know, oh, you have to understand a lot of other Brazilians are actually like, you know, either poorly educated, so they don't know how to communicate with people from Western Europe, you know, or they don't have very good English, or they're very young, you know, so don't take it too seriously, you know, these are just idiots, you know, like we're not all like this in Brazil. And whenever that happens, I always tell the people, like, mate, you don't have to apologise. You haven't done anything wrong. I realise there are cool people who live in all these countries, but fucking hell, like, what's sad is even that person's buying into the logic, like, you know, oh, I'm part of this group identity. It's like, you're not. I exempt all Space Soldiers players and all, as long as they're not, unbeknownst to me, behind the scenes stirring it up, which as far as I know, they're not. They're definitely not to blame for this. If anything, they're probably victims of this rabid fan base as much as anyone else, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, which as Fallen has said many a time, you know, the fans that attack the people that beat us attack us when we failed to beat them as well. You know, it's like they just throw shit all over the place. So, but I thought it was a classy move. I'll just read you the tweet. It says, we would like to apologise to Golden and Fnatic on behalf of our fans for their inappropriate remarks. We do not condone such behaviour and kindly ask for our fans to refrain from it in future. And I think it's nice to see an organisation sort of take a stand against unacceptable behaviour. Did the tweet in Turkish as well, made a point of putting out 2 tweets, one in English, one in Turkish. And you know, I got to give them a lot of credit for that, because think about it, you're the like, they've got way more to think about. The players are going to be disappointed. Obviously, the organization's going to be disappointed, missed out on a payday. This would have been their first big international tournament win. And they've still sort of had the time, the presence of mind and wherewithal to observe what's going on social media and put a tweet out like this. So I think massive props to Space Soldiers for doing it. And if more organizations would just take a firm hand, and again, I'm not saying they have to do it, but I think it might help. You know, like it's something that could possibly discourage some of the more outrageous elements in fan culture, potentially. I mean,
well, it's the equivalent of that thing where Taz came out with ESL Cologne and was like, don't ban Fnatic, boo Fnatic. I mean, here's the problem with that scenario was, yeah, great move from Taz, just likewise. But again, what sort of fan is such a pleb that they're like, I hated that guy. What's that, Taz? Yeah, a good guy, actually, I've realised. Like, come on, mate. I agree it'd help, but like, those people are obviously just clueless as fuck, just followers anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, true. So yeah, Space Soldiers missing out on their big payday there. That was another story that came out. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that we wanted to cover from WESG that maybe I've glossed over. I mean,
why are you so
the
close?
Tournament. We've talked about that. Talked about a few other things. So yeah, I think we can probably just leave that tournament there. I don't want to dwell on it too much. Like I say, for me, I appreciate what they're trying to do, but I hope they do get to listen to this feedback and change the overall structure of the tournament and how it works, because you really shouldn't have top-tier teams playing international mix-ups at a tournament with this kind of prize money and the prestige.
And if you've got that much money, come on, why the fuck are there all these PC problems? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, that I know for a fact they've got good PCs in China, so...
I mean, there was a lot of ropey things with this event. Like, I don't normally call people out for this sort of stuff, but, like, this was, like, the sort of event that's, like, reaching out to me, like, a week before the fucking event starts. Like, can you work this event? Like, are you for real? What, in China, you need a visa? No, can't, unsurprisingly. That's ridiculous, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. The part I don't get is, like, how can you have that much money and not have, like, all planned out way in advance, you know, and everything set up and everyone signed up and then, because again, another detail about this event, actually, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, there was like fucking loads of teams didn't arrive at the event.
Yeah.
I think it was like 5 or 6 teams didn't come.
It's so bizarre. But yeah, they really need to, up their game if they want to be taken seriously. Tournaments have a pretty high bar right now, and for this kind of prize money, that's the only thing that's insulating you from relentless criticism is the fact that you've got the biggest prize pool in the game, and that will not last forever. So anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the more details of the French Shuffle coming out. We had Ocelot do a podcast. I like that. I like
Street
that.
Fighter, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, like he's
Also,
taken
as we alluded to in one of the past episodes, when we did kind of roast him for the fact that he actually did initially seem like he was full of shit, just doing the PR thing of like, right, results are bad, so I can't do anything, so let's just come out and sort of buy myself an extra month by saying I'm doing something in depth, which obviously what every org tries to do. But fair play to him. As with the NIP one, he has actually been good for his word. And in this particular example, like you actually got to see, Ocelot is a fucking G. I've always thought he was a cool guy. His problem was he was very misunderstood because he was a bit egotistical for a couple of years. But actually, he is one of the rare examples I've seen of someone who did actually somewhat reform himself from that sort of behaviour. And crucially for me, for someone who was a bit at one point in time for a hot minute, in the ninja of his day and was just blowing up, and as a result, his ego was just going through the roof, he actually did completely get like a sense of humour about himself again. You can roast him, you can say, he's just a cool guy, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we talk about it a lot. When you come up in esports, and like let's be real, like being a big deal in esports 10 years ago is not the same as being a big deal in esports now. In the present, a lot more eyeballs, a lot more money, a lot more business potential. And a lot higher standard, honestly, in terms of what's expected of you, because with the advent of social media and mainstream media attention now, and all of that expectation, we almost have to behave. And this is one of the things that I've never really liked that's happening to esports. But we almost have to behave as if we are part of that mainstream now. It's like, no, you're trying to bring us into you. We've always been a niche thing, and now that we're blowing up, we're changing what made us what we are. And I never really liked that. I mean, I used to say all the time, I never got why motherfuckers would go to esports events and wear like tuxedos on a broadcast or whatever, like I don't like wearing suits. I don't think that's a representation of who we are, because we got onto that because obviously mainstream attention can be tough, and Ocelot was one of those guys who his transition has actually been quite remarkable. He's gone from being a star player in his team to sort of a failing star player whose ego doesn't quite match up to his skills anymore, to then being the poster boy for toxicity for Riot Games because he told somebody he had cancer in a game once. Then went from that to being an owner of an organization, and a pretty poor organization to begin with that had to rebrand. And then he's gone through all of that to create one of the most successful brands in esports currently. So his transition has been incredible if you followed it like me and you have. And it's great to see him sort of have that grasp now of this is how you need to interact with the community. He doesn't just talk, he does things. When he floated the idea of a podcast, the idea of getting a player who has left your organization to sit down with you and talk about the explicit problems in the team you still have, I think that's fucking ballsy as fuck. I mean, really, there's not many team owners. Maybe Ocelot and Hex would do that. They're the ones who will lay it all out.
That, by the way, shows you actually legit had a real relationship with that player, like while they're in the team, they'll all pretend that, he is like a father figure to me, but there's a lot of people I know that the second they're out the door, some of them have like mad animosity to some of these owners,
So, what was revealed in that podcast was really fucking crazy to me. And again, I know we disagree on this because I saw your fucking tweet and I think you're out of your fucking mind. I think you've been on the fucking ching for a few days. I think that's what's been going on with you. Right, but anyway, basically Shox revealed that he wanted to take out NBK in Apex.
Get him out.
And replace him with your fucking Wolverine picture existence and fucking Smiths, which, like, literally
getting the old band back together.
Yeah, mate, this is like a fucking just absolute shocking downgrade it would have been. It's no wonder nobody was going to go for that. I mean, least of all Ocelot, I hope, because sure, replacing his existence as a coach and having Smiths goes out makes sense. Maybe there's a player out there that could come in and do either NBK or Apex, but you've just downgraded all your fucking, like, your entry fragger for a washed-up in-game leader whose brain's good, but the body is also fucking weak. And Smith's a player who was so bad in his last year of competitive play, his stats made Fifth Lauren look like fucking Cold Zero, you know what I mean? So, I don't know what was going on. This is what I mean about Shocks. He just, it's all about the heart, the brain.
Here's the thing though, Rich.
The brain goes on holiday,
One thing you have to say is, in an example where obviously most players in that team didn't want to make a change. They just wanted to keep doing the same shit over and over again. They were going to distract us all with having MBK become the in-game leader, and just, you know, like, they were just circling the same fucking sinkhole they've been down 2 or 3 times the last few years. You've got to give Shocks credit for this. He was willing to shake the entire fucking thing up. He was willing to literally leverage his star power to try and bring 2 people back from the dead, basically.
Mate,
That's
he's
pretty
not
insane, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not a fucking necromancer, though, is he?
And also, this guy's such a fucking G that he literally was like, "All right, MBK, I've heard you're the kingmaker around here. Get out then." Like,
Fuck off, yeah.
yeah, it's mental, isn't it? It's not a mad
don't
Game of Thrones gambit.
No, mate, don't get me wrong. He's like fucking Ray Winston in Scum, his approach to teams. Like, he is
I'm
the daddy now. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there you go.
Right? Fair fucking play. But, like, he can't believe for a second that
By the
these
way,
players are better
speaking
than
of
the
which,
ones he's replaced. Go on.
Mate, first of all, I know you were loving this, but obviously I've always said of everyone, Shocks does have the best of the French accents, because not only does he have the really strong accent, but he is obviously like, anytime I think of the term metrosexual, I just think of Shocks, because he's just so clearly like that. And there was a bit in the interview when he was talking about something, and then did you see this? He pulls out 2 red roses and goes, "I have 2, one for my love existence, one for my love space." And I'm just sat there going, what am I even watching right now? Is this
Right.
my life? Am I just descending into watching Days of Their Life or something like fucking,
Yeah,
is this The Bachelor? Is that the system Shocks was using to decide his new team? And we've got 8 lucky bachelors here trying to win the affections of Princess Shocks. Eddie, you are always my love. Like, well, I'm out. What even is this? What even is this? I'm sorry, MBK. The sex with you was not as passionate as I want. You are too, how you say, robotic.
And out he goes, mate.
Now out you go. And then obviously MBK is just like, Johnny 5 must die. Lovable
Right.
character.
Short Circuit, great movie. But look, you can't believe this would have been an upgrade. You can't, mate. There's just no way like that. This could have been, like, first of all, you fucking were not saying Smith was good when he was playing. You fucking know it. You
Obviously
little
not.
cunt. You little cunt. You fucking your tweets. You saw them side by side. They're a year apart, mate. And you're going, is
Yeah.
Smith's the fucking observer or something? Because he's missing all the kills. And then you're like, Smith's got a lot of shit. Smith's got a lot of shit from people in this.
Tell you what, y'all need to just let off that Smiths. He's a good lad. Y'all going too far with this shit.
You've got nerve, man. Come on. There's no way you think you can honestly believe that team will be better than what they had. The Shocks version.
I do think they would be better, but here's the thing. The reason why is because Smiths wouldn't be doing any of the stuff he was doing in those teams where he was playing badly. The idea is, in this team, basically, what I'm getting communicating to me from this team, by the way, they literally constantly, explicitly said, by the way, he will not op. I promise he will not op. Was like, this is going to be Smiths playing the ultimate version of the bitch role fucking support player who just has to do everything everyone else says. And the logic in this team is, well, he's already done that role with Existence in the past, so he's just going to be there to do literally whatever Existence needs within the tactic. And the reason why I do think that this team could work is because the premise of the team is that once you have Existence and Smith set up like that, they will just do the team element of the game, and then Shocks and Kenny S will be turned loose to have that superstar combo we all wanted to see but never properly got to see. So I will say I did put a lot of the emphasis, like, this would be a big gamble, but the difference is, if you imagine a world in which Kenny S and Shocks are both really good, now that's not some ludicrous proposition, in a world where they're both fragging out of control, you don't need that much after that to win some games. So Smith doesn't have to shoot people with a gun. He literally, believe it or not, this might be the one time where that shit thing he told me about how he's the best flashbang player in the world or some shit, like, might actually come into play.
Yeah, well, obviously we'll never know now, but I suppose...
I mean, at this point in time, he's like fucking Lenny out of Mice and Men. He's like, Edward, Richard, will there be the rabbits? He's like, yeah, I'm just going to flashbang you, shot. Smith, come on, sleep. I'm sorry, but where are we going? Is this the new team with existence? Yeah, just come around here. Shh. Have a rose. Don't you go. I love you. I just can't quit you.
Little kiss on the way out.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, like, now people are saying that is going to be the core of a team. That
would be interesting, right?
Smiths and Shocks are going to make a team. I mean, I can't imagine that Ziwu's going to be part of it. He's the name that always gets floated. Yeah. I don't know who the other two would be. Now, Existence...
Well, obviously, the problem is, by the way, did you notice in none of these moves, are there any envious players? There was none coming into G2 now. That's why they got Mixwell. There was none in the proposed G2 coup d'etat by Shocks. So it looks like, to me, envy players are off the table.
Right. People are spamming the chat saying it's been announced. It hasn't been announced, has it? Have they just
Probably
announced?
Just lying, innit?
No, they're lying.
Has it been announced then?
Yeah, it hasn't been announced.
Just nowhere in it. Just lying. Just telling lies.
Telling lies. Why are you always lying?
That's why we can't have nice things, isn't it?
But you know, so I don't know what the lineup will be. But I mean, again, I've got no faith or confidence in.
Yeah, but here's the problem, Rich. That's not the same.
That team.
Because remember that my whole premise just rested on you have to have Shocks and Kenny S fragging out control. Yeah. Well, there's not going to be any Kenny S, is there? Yeah. He's in G2, so at this point, unless you literally can get Scream, fucking RP, I don't know, it's just not going to happen, is it? Like, this lineup probably isn't going to work out. With that said, though, you have to understand, Richard, Matt, if there's one thing that's more satisfying than anything, it's when everyone's telling you, you're wrong, just let it go, you hold with it, and at the end, you suddenly looked like I was going to get the ultimate comeuppance, didn't I? I was going to wreck all these cunts, like, Existence was just going to roll back in. Shocks was literally, that was like the pawn for me, man, where Shocks was just like, he is a real captain, he will play fucking 15 hours of the day, I have gone to sleep, I have had 4 Ritz cracker, I come back, he is fucking playing, what are you doing? It's like, his brain is burning. It's like, it's straight fire, mate, wasn't it? It was straight fire.
Look, mate, you
fucking
weren't
Roseworthy.
You weren't even around for actual vintage Existence. Like, he was already sort of a shadow of himself by the time CSGO came rolling around. You don't remember him when he was a fucking AWPer. I do. The motherfucker was sick. But I got no faith in him now. People always say, he's still got it. He hasn't. It's
also,
done.
you have to realise, Richard, I was just waiting for when they made this lineup and they come back and the gamble pays off. They win a major. Obviously, there's about 700 clips of you like, you're never going to win that major. Just fucking retire. You would have been in all of them, mate. You've got Matt, the treatment I get every time.
Yeah, that would have absolutely wrecked me. I'd have had.
Mate, you might appreciate this. I can't remember who it is, but this is actually where people don't realise. In some senses behind the scenes, I am actually sound. I had a team contact me. I can't remember what tournament it was, and say, "Oh, would you mind if we used one of your tweets where you basically said that our team wouldn't win the tournament, but we did?" And I said, "Yeah, why not? Sounds fine to me."
Yeah, of course.
Just say my motherfucking name, motherfucker.
No, look, I think when people get to know you, they know that you are a bit of a moody cunt, but you're always up for the entertainment and the banter. Like that the entertainment comes first. You are a showman, if nothing else. I know that, and I understand and appreciate.
Also, this is how dumb people are, right? I know idiots just try to claim. You just say the opposite to everyone else, but then if I say the things that everyone agrees with, why are you saying obvious shit? So that, first of all, that's never worked as a logical position. But if I'm the guy who just makes fun of Smiths all the time, now's the time when I'd get the most engagement on my tweets by roasting Smiths and being like, why are they putting in a shit player? You know, like, wow, Shocks wants to play 4v5. I didn't know he was that. You know, I could do all the obvious shit. I'd be on the top of the subreddit right now if I did that.
Ding! The light bulb's just going.
Excuse me a minute. Excuse me.
Right. Anyway, Roker, he's left Splice.
Fucking hell, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time. By the way, I always say this. This is one of the few things I say in my videos, Rich. If people ever ask you that question in interviews, you regret anything? Obviously, I do the classic thing. I think of the 3 or 4 things they're trying to get me to say I regret, and I just go, I regret none of it. You know, I try and rationalise it, some bullshit like, yeah, it made me grow as a person. Also, didn't want to go to Poland anyway. And then one thing I actually do admit, though, I do always admit this, Richard. I wish I could go back in time and not ever say on all those episodes of By the Numbers and in that video that my dream team for NA involves Roker. I wish I could have that one back, Rich. Like, I've seen him play too many LAN games now, and that's got to be one of my worst faults of all time.
I think mistakes were made by both of us in that one. Because if I remember rightly, I was putting JDM on rifles, so yeah, maybe we didn't have the biggest sample size of data to really make an informed.
That was though when there was very few players. You had to take some gambles,
Yeah. I was I'm all about that. I roll the motherfucking dice, me. But anyway, so Roker has left Splice, and that's the Splice lineup with obviously Sempus
Splice still alive as well. Fucking
Davey, Drone. So this is it's a team that I think they win the MDL. Was that them? I think they won it. I think they won the Mountain Dew League. Anyway, so it's a decent knocking on that door, tier 1 North American team. And Roker has apparently failed to agree terms and isn't going to be in that team anymore. Now, as we've kind of alluded to there with our jokes on the way in, I don't really think I've seen sort of a drop-off in terms of talent and a failure to ever... Like, it's not even failure to launch. It's like, you didn't even really get to the launch pad. Like, as Roker, he had this brief window